dice. You never know if it could change your life. Take a chance, you're neither wrong or right. You never know if you don't roll them dice. You better roll them dice.
Nothing exceptionally interesting happened in my games. Waterdeep Dragon Heist is progressing apace and going, I think, exactly the right amount off the rails. One of the great things about most games is that a lot of times NPCs and characters that you did not expect to be significant ended up being significant. You never know who your players are going to latch onto. Waterdeep Dragon Heist is pretty good about this because it gives a lot of connections between NPCs and a lot of background to a lot of them. So some characters that I really did not expect to have to talk about after the page that they were actually on have become regular figures in the campaign, but that's a good problem to have, I think. And as you well know, I ran a one-shot for some new players, which was a lot of fun. I really want to give a shout out to this. It's the
I got some text messages being like, "Oh my god, I'm sold on D&D now and forever," from some of our mutual friends.
Yeah, the one shot. I really want to recommend this if you're if you have new players, and two, especially if many of them are women or if it's a group of women. It's called The Rat Queen's The Hangover. And it is essentially the plot of...
The Hangover is so good. I've done this before, too.
It's such a great plot. They wake up drunk in the woods and have to figure out what they did, and it's a little irreverent and raunchy and a lot of fun and filled with funny, obnoxious characters. Definitely not something you want to take too seriously, but it's a great, fun, low investment a one-shot if you want to get new players interested and show them that D&D doesn't have to be super, super serious. It's based off of this comic, The Rat Queen, so I think is now no longer being written, but, sort of a send-up of fantasy tropes based on a group of 4 or 5 women. It's great. It's fun. Check it out. The Hangover. I think it's available for free on Dungeon Magazine or something like that. You can search for it. But yeah, it was great.
We haven't got to talking about man. It's always hard to find the adventures for very new players, and we're not going to review it this episode. We both just got it, but flipping through Saltmarsh and seeing the Ghosts of Saltmarsh, a new release from D&D, and seeing all these old adventures recycled from Dungeon Magazine, it makes me miss Dungeon Magazine so fucking hard. I'm like, there's just infinite adventures to flip through and steal from, and
yeah, if you ever see them for sale at your, friendly local gaming store, grab a magazine and take a look. There's always good stuff in them. It can be hard to find old issues, but enough of it.
I know a bunch of things have tried to replace Dungeon Magazine. There's all these other magazines, and none of them have just scratched the itch.
Yeah,
none of them are as good.
The same. You'd think now would be a perfect time for a resurgence or
I'm sure Hasbro's
of Dungeon
let's
Magazine.
Get back into that thriving sector of magazine publishing.
I mean, I'm thinking an e-zine, but yes, I feel like there's opportunity.
Honestly, D&D Beyond, if they put out an official, bi-monthly magazine that had 2 adventures and 3 columns and started a subscription for $2 a month, I would pay that in a heartbeat.
I don't know if you've noticed, they have a pretty robust blog, but it's not the same thing. But it does some of the same stuff. It has encounters and... I
don't want a blog, Rob.
Yeah, I know, but it's also
layouts,
not the same.
Art.
No layouts, not enough maps. So, if you're listening, Hasbro/Wizards of the Coast, we would pay you money for a new Dungeon e-zine.
Rob, we'll be starting a change.org petition.
We will. That's right.
Bring back Dungeon.
Bring back Dungeon. Hello, everyone. This is
Dungeons?
Dungeon Master of None. I'm Rob.
And I'm Matt.
And as we sort of promised on an episode recently, I think tonight we're going to be doing a couple of things, but we're going to be the core, the meaty center of this episode is going to be, we're going to design some homebrew monsters. We wanted to start doing some more homebrew. Quick plug, if you haven't checked it out already, we also released a one-shot, The Celestial Job, and an Artificer supplement that has certainly not been undercut by Wizards of the Coast's own Artificer supplement that you can check out. The Celestial Job and the Advanced Artificer. But we really liked that. We want to do some more of it. And
yeah, we're going to write another adventure soon for you on the podcast, but we might take a break and do some monsters.
Do some monsters, some other things in the interim. But do you want to do these letters at the beginning or at the end, Matt?
At the end.
At the end. Okay,
let's save it.
Then let's get to the juicy bit. I have some ideas for homebrew monsters. We've done this once before, right? We did our Mothman episode, which was delightful.
Oh yeah,
and we also that's not when we homebrewed the paper golem, which I have actually
we renamed it the parchment
golem. Well, that's even better. That was my
shout
idea.
Out to my friend Reed. Was it? I think it was my friend Reed, but maybe many people came up with this at the same time.
Definitely.
Lots of people are like paper golem sucks ass.
Yeah, parchment golem is better.
Parchment golem. Yep.
That's a great.
I used those in a game a couple weeks ago, and they were a blast.
I used them in one of my games too.
People.
Yeah, they're terrific. They're tons of fun, easy to implement. Real wild card.
Oh, parchment golem versus Mothman. Sounds like.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for the perfect Mothman reason. But yeah, so this was fun last time, and I want to try to come back to it. But yeah, I've got a couple of ideas. Matt, do you want to go first, or do you want me to jump into this?
I can go first. Okay. I've got an idea. I was looking for. Well, so this idea came from, unsurprisingly, reading things that I like. I had flipped open a old Hellboy comic trade paperback to pull up something because I was confused about the current storyline, which was coming to an end. And I went back to reread something. I found the old Hellboy short story, Heads. It's set in Japan. Hellboy's wandering around, and he finds some demon, yokai, spirit creatures that may or may not be called Rokrubai. I'm not a aficionado of Japanese folklore or language, so I'm probably butchering that. But they're, things from Japanese peasant mythology that can detach or elongate their heads and might eat you while you're sleeping, but look like normal people during the day. They're vulnerable to sunlight, and they're just kind of a fun, whimsical, maybe fae, maybe undead monster. I'm like, ooh, I can use these in a game I have coming up, and so I'm like, I need some stats for these. What's your thoughts on this?
I love it. Yokai are super interesting. They have made an appearance in several recent popular video games. They were a part of Nioh, and more recently, I think, Sekiro.
Shadows only die twice?
But yeah, yokai are super interesting in a rich area of monster, demon mythology. Very, very interesting mythological monster creatures. I remember this short story. Hellboy is full of interesting, weird stuff. And they were like creepy, bizarre heads. So let's do... I love this. I think this is interesting. Let's stat out some... I've written down yokai heads. We'll look up the correct... we'll look up the correct...
Rokrubai is, I saw on one website that is almost certainly wrong, but you can always give them whatever you name you want in your fantasy world.
When we put the stats up, we will make sure that the name is as close to correct as possible. But yeah, you can call them whatever.
So I'm looking at the monster index and being like, so one of the ways we've said we can homebrew is to start with something that is similar enough and try and gauge its type and maybe difficulty and maybe abilities. Right? You can just start with something else and go from there. How do you feel about that approach for some flying head vampire?
I mean, that's how I do almost everything. So I say it's great. Flying head, morphing vampire. I mean,
what's your thought here? Are these undead, or because they're like yokai and sort of a peasant folktale, are they in fact fae or demons?
I want to say.
What do you think here?
I want to say they should probably be demons, right? So
Yeah.
let's call them
I mean,
fiends. Fiends is what I'm thinking. I think they should be classified as fiends. I guess possibly.
I thought, so I've sort of technically how they're described, they might be undead.
Yeah,
I feel like they're not, though, at least in the sense of how I would run the world, right? Undead are things that are, like, created through necromantic magic. And these kind of have maybe a more mischievous feel to them.
I hear what you're saying about Fae. It's weird because in D&D, Fae is like very like Celtic Fae. But you know what? I say let's call them Fae. Canon be damned. We'll make it work.
Let's culturally reappropriate maybe misappropriate. We're doing something here.
Let's reclaim some Fae. Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
I think that's the right thing.
Right. So, okay, another question we can always ask when we're, and if you, we'll put a link in here to some of the pictures of these, the little detached necks, maybe flapping ears, big sharp teeth, but otherwise look like a normal humanoid creatures, except their heads detach and fly around and maybe try and bite you in the night. Maybe not even kill you, right? They might just suck a little bit of your blood or something. They might be more annoying than a super deadly threat. Where would we fit these in the sort of general threat tier of Dungeons and Dragons?
I'm thinking CR 1 or 2, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think these could be a thing that, if a party of one adventurer could probably take 2 of these.
Yeah.
So a party could take a group of them of equal size or bigger. These are not super deadly. They do not have a lot of hit points. And what about special abilities, right? I think for something as unique as this, they should probably have, something that very much sets them apart. I'm thinking, right, during the day, unless you pull their lips back and look at their teeth, they are pretty much indistinguishable from regular people.
Yeah. So
a false appearance or something like that. And we can steal some text from one of the other creatures that has a false appearance.
Yeah. So that's the basic thing. During the day, or they appear like anything else, and they're not threatening unless you know what to look for, right? Unless you have prior knowledge or some sort of insight, or you get very, very lucky on an insight or perception check. And so normally they appear to be, your regular old human, until they intentionally expose themselves or are exposed.
Right. And then, I think the obvious next special ability to give them is some sort of text about detachable head, right? They can detach their head from their body, we'll add in some special rules, something along the lines of, their body is completely helpless during this time. However, how would you feel like going a little wacky with this one? While their body is helpless, their head is probably like maybe even resistant or perhaps has regeneration to pretty much all damage. So unless you find the body, these things can annoy you for quite a bit.
Oh, I like that. I say here's the thing. Here's what I'm thinking, just to make it not too hard to kill them if your players are not cleverly looking for a nearby body. Let's say they've got all your standard resistances, right? They're hard to hit. They're resistant to everything non-magical, right? Don't have a ton of hit points. I'm thinking 20 something, 22, 24.
Oh, I'm thinking maybe even less.
Even less. But, not enough to be like indestructible, but enough to be annoying. So that you can still beat them to death if you can't find the body. But let's say that if you do kill the body, you wanted to say that it instantly kills the head?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely. If you kill the body or hide the body, one of the gifs of the legend, if the head can't return to the body by sunrise or some arbitrary time, and we can put this somewhere in the rule, it automatically dies, or if you somehow destroy the body, or hide the body, hiding the body gives you a bargaining chip against these creatures, right? Because we made them fey, they're things that are scary and given their way would probably eat you or suck your blood. You could they might know something, and players might want to have to negotiate.
Yeah.
The
I like
other
that.
thing I think we could do to make this a fun thing is, you imagine little heads flapping around by their ears. They have a bite attack that does a very small amount of damage, probably a D4. But I'm also gonna give them, in their detachable head speed, a fly speed that's pretty slow, maybe 10 or 20 feet per round, so that if player characters are like, oh fuck this, I want to fight all these heads, let's go find their bodies, they can always outrun the heads, right? Let's make them really slow. Okay. I think that makes for interesting things. So one of the things, like with monsters design, that we haven't talked about is, like, really give your monsters some really obvious and easily exploitable weaknesses. Mm-hmm. Makes for some fun decision play at the table.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm looking at finding a monster that fits fairly well. A sprite is a tiny fey. That might make a pretty good stat line for the head, reduce the speed, really low strength, probably not have training in stealth like a sprite does, probably a little lower armor class and a little higher hit points, right? These might be 3d4 or 4d4 hit points, so that'll translate to 10 or something like that. And yeah, a bite attack that does some damage but is mostly just annoying. Right? Yep. These are annoyance monsters. These are never going to be a monster that TPKs the party. They're ones that try and trick them, that are maybe in the service of a greater fey, that maybe knows something that the players are going to have to, hijack their bodies to try and extract something from them. The purpose of these monsters are definitely annoyance and subterfuge, right? They can hide their big, sharp, pointy teeth behind some fans.
Yeah, small fey, gave them enough hit points to not be immediately squished, some resistances
to all physical damage,
right, all physical damage except
detach.
Magical when detached. We will fill in the details about the false appearance, the detachable head, and the vulnerable body. They got a bite attack. Do they do anything else interesting in the Hellboy comic? Something fun? Maybe we can have them do some sort of other annoyance, possibly.
Well, so in stories,
with how they speak.
Sometimes this is a curse placed on other people. A good, peasant somehow is infected with this curse and is, does these things without sort of their knowledge. I think one of the other fun things we could give them is, they might sort of do some unsettling and creepy things, like they're very much morbid peasant demons that tell you of the dangers of the forest. So, some sort of, if they tell you a story, they might make you afraid or shaken, or
sure, something that
charmed.
Does psychic damage and has a chance to cause fear or something like that. I'm calling this dark words for now, and we'll spruce that up when we put the actual stats on. But yeah.
I don't even think it has to do damage, but just something that will unsettle players, and we might even write in a few story hooks that if players encounter these flying detachable head fey, you might be able to use as hooks.
Yeah, we'll come up with some details for you to try to mix these into your game.
So anyway, it seems like the general legend is these are creatures with elongated necks, but the little guys flapping around by their ears just really appeals to me. And so when you see something and you want to make it your own, go ahead and do that.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
So we got a little small fae guys. They're gonna come take little bites of you out at the night and head back to their bodies during the day. They're very annoying. They can't kill you very easily. What else we got?
Okay, Matt, I'm gonna throw you a curveball, and I'm sorry about this, but this is something I've wanted to work on for a long time. So help me work through this.
We're gonna set out God.
So when I was sitting down to think about doing this particular project and what kind of monsters I wanted to do, I went back to the well of mythology, and then I was like, you know what, I wanna try to challenge myself to come up with something unique and interesting and new. One of the cooler things about D&D are the monsters that were birthed from Gygax's bizarre brain, the ones that have or his and his peers' brains, the ones that have persisted. The the rust monster, the beholder,
the owlbear, the bulette,
right? And I love these because they're twisted creations of mad wizards, right? And you can always come up with a different explanation for why these are in your game, but I love the idea of all these monsters running around, persisting and breeding that are the result of some wizard's experiment, some long dead experimenter. And I was thinking also about horror movies and how I could recreate those, how we could recreate those. And so here's the idea I've got.
Okay.
I want to build a template.
A bear. Ooh,
a template for monsters, and I want to call it a biomorph, right? So I'm thinking, of course, about aliens, right? I'm thinking about a creature that takes over another creature's body and then either transforms it, or we can be very direct and just say that it births a hideous spawn from its stomach that then grows into a twisted simulacrum of that creature.
Ooh.
But
while taking on some of its best
characteristics, right? So how would we build a simple template that you could then apply, right, to any creature in Dungeons and Dragons, but you would create some sort of bulette biomorph, or an owlbear biomorph, or a goblin biomorph, right? Something like this. So how would we accomplish this?
Right. Okay. This is interesting, right? There are a couple ways you could go about it, right? Is you could basically add a few modifiers to a creature, right? A change in AC or intelligence or outlook, a template that you could then slap onto any creature, whether it's a great worm red dragon or a regular old one hit die elf, right? You could do that. Or we could sort of work at it the other way and create a base stat for a biomorph, and then a list of 6 or 10 of the most common monsters that a biomorph might take over and birth its young for, to create a couple different varieties of them.
Interesting.
Because, okay, tell me what happens if a biomorph gets hold of a dragon and face huggers it and a egg bursts out of the dragon's thing. Does that egg immediately grow into a dragon, or does it grow into, a medium or large creature that has some of the characteristics of the dragon, but is overall a xenomorph?
It grows into a large or a medium or large biomorph with dragon characteristics, right? So it's not going to immediately grow into a dragon. It will grow into a biomorph dragon. It'll be closer to other biomorphs than it will be to a dragon, if that makes sense.
But it might get, red dragon's
it might get
breath.
Wings and red dragon breath and, something like that.
Okay, excellent. I love this already. What would be about a typical biomorph that, let's start with one that gets a humanoid creature, right? How scary would that be? If we think back to the Alien franchise, we could always go scarier or not as scary as that.
So let's think about the power level of the xenomorph, right? It takes down, or one can take down a bunch of, maintenance people on a vessel. It takes a lot more to take down trained soldiers. So I'm thinking the base power of a xenomorph is, let's call it 1 CR. Let's call it a CR1 creature.
Hey Rob. You ever get mistaken for a dungeon master?
God.
No. Have you?
Oh, Vasquez.
Good times. Rest in peace, Vasquez, and all you beautiful bastards. So yeah, let's call it
Only good depiction of the military in
That's
a
right. The
sci-fi.
only good troops are the ones that died fighting the xenomorphs. So
They didn't want to be there. We didn't want them to be there. Yeah. It's all good.
Yeah. So let's
okay.
Let's call it a CR1 creature, right?
It could be a little more scary than that.
You think so?
Right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Come on, like. There are a lot of scary things in the D&D universe. I mean, CR1 is pretty low.
Pretty low.
I'm thinking somewhere in the 4 to 5, where a level 5 fighter could maybe hold its own against it, but it would definitely take a team of 4 level 2 characters to take it.
Yeah,
down.
I like that. Okay, so let's call it CR5, and use that as
we could always go back to the guidelines in the DM's Guild.
No. I'm gonna grab. Tell you what, I'm gonna grab the troll, and we were going to modify a troll to be our base biomorph. Okay.
Okay. Now, before we go any further, now that we have a good base and we've got a general idea of what we're working for here, what's the sort of, so this is a mad wizard creation.
Yeah.
Is it if you plop down to your players and said this is a xenomorph, they'd probably be like, cool.
Yeah.
But, we're in a fantasy world. What's sort of the what's the reasoning behind this wizard creation, or what distinguishes or flavors it? Is it covered in runes, or
it's
in
so
ooze,
let's say it's got spiny black scales, right? Segmented armor like an insect. Maybe the wizard was trying to create some sort of golem or organic golem and fucked it up real bad. It's covered
insect scales, but very humanized.
But yeah, exactly. So it's got like a little bit like, segmented, I don't know, Ankeg shell armor, but it looks and moves, bipedally like a human. And can climb and run fast, and again, looks like a large, twisted, human with claws and armor, unsettling and terrifying as the real life xenomorph is, or real life or movie xenomorph is.
All right, do we want to give it the same? I feel like we could come up with something to replace the trope of the acidic blood.
Oh yeah.
What does it have instead as its blood pumping through its veins? Maybe something magical to represent its failed magic experiment.
Yeah, I think it should have something a little bit more fantastical. So let's say that it's got not acidic blood, but when wounded, it
tears of children flow from its wounds.
Let's call it just like
alchemist fire,
petrification blood, right? So if you get it on you, it will. Ooh, wait.
It hardens whatever it touches.
It hardens whatever it touches. Yeah.
Ooh, so maybe a Medusa or a cockatrice or something was captured and tortured by this wizard to make this.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
And we'll have to tweak the stats. We don't want petrification is pretty rough, so it would be a low chance, and it would not happen all at once, but it would,
Let's say something like if some of it touches you, like it does, let's just represent it as damage as your skin hardens and takes on a rough stony like appearance. If you ever, let's say, were able to gather up gallons of it and dump it on something, it would turn it.
Let's say that if it reduces you to 0 hit points and you fail your death saves, then you are petrified as if by the spell Flesh to Stone. That seems balanced enough for a 5th level CR5 creature.
Okay, and then what about how does so the key to the xenomorph is incredibly strange reproductive cycle, right? It implants any species with a little face hugger and creates a copy. Do you want to steal that wholesale, or do you want to see if we can come up with some magical analog of that? Maybe something with souls or the spirit or something?
I would like to skip the body horror rapiness of the face hugger,
Yes,
and
me too.
do something a little different. So let's say it should be, the thing is though, it should be scary, it should be unsettling still. So let's say that it's what other, so let's say that, yeah, like a cockatrice was used in the creation of this. What else might we use that that is infectious or changes people?
Well, I mean, we could go with anything that it petrifies, cracks open like an egg and a new one is born, the petrification. But that was sort of the blood. There's also that, what I flowed earlier, it somehow steals your soul and uses your soul or, immortal essence to rebirth a new version of and reproduce that way.
Yeah.
Like that's, if the wizard made this creature, the only thing he was lacking was souls,
right,
to animate it,
right?
And the first one was animated by its soul, and now it goes around, steals it infects another person, and then uses their soul to reproduce, because it's an infinite reproduction machine through magic. It just needs an intelligent
I've got an idea.
soul.
This is sufficiently horrifying, but doesn't involve any face huggers. Let's call it essence theft, and the biomorph will capture and attempt to grapple or subdue a foe, and then over time, it can be short or long, we'll figure that out, steal its, we'll call it essence, but spirit or soul, and then once it does so, this of course kills the creature, and it then either buds or sort of like sloughs off its skin or something, and that becomes a new biomorph with the characteristics of whatever creature it consumed.
Ooh, how about, so this thing has big claws, right? Or something like that. How about if you kill one and examine it, you notice its claws are covered with magical sigils and runes.
Okay.
If you are hit by one of these claws in a sufficient attack or something like that, it basically brands you with one of these marks. And the brand fades over time. However, if you cast a detect magic spell, however long it's been, it shows up and it glows. And if you ever die while that brand is on you, your soul is then converted, and your body after death, your soul doesn't go to its normal plane of residence. It instead inhabits a killing machine biomorph essence thief.
Excellent. Yeah.
And yeah, no, that sort of works. Yeah. Now, and of course, there's a way to lift the curse. We probably kill the biomorph that infected you.
Yeah.
And that would lift the mark.
Or any sort of, I'm sure that remove curse,
or remove curse
would work
spell.
just fine, or anything that would do that. But yeah, we'll call it like a curse claw or something like that. But yeah, it in addition to
Soul Stealer Strike,
in addition to killing you or turning you to stone, it it has a chance to curse you. I mean, why don't we just make it simpler? Why don't we make it even simpler and just say that its main thing is that it curses you, and then if you die or you don't remove the curse, you slowly transform into a biomorph, right? Let's just drop the petrifying blood. We can come back to...
Yeah, so one thing to always do when you're designing monsters is come back at the end and say, there's too much going on here. Yeah, like the petrifying blood. We can get rid of that.
We can find something else to make it like...
but,
whatever. We can find something else. I do like the idea of either wounding it or bleeding or something, causing like an effect that you have to watch out for. But let's call it, we'll say the main thing that it does is that it transfers the biomorph curse to whatever it is fighting, even if it doesn't manage to kill it. And then if that creature fails to remove the curse or dies with the curse upon it, it then reanimates as a biomorph again.
Right. a great thing for DMs to be like, all right, we need you to go kill this thing for us because this person has this curse on them or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're very dangerous if one was ever to get loose on your sailing ship or whatever. It could spread like wildfire.
Yes. See, that's the fun thing is, this is a great, like, dungeon or tower or sailing ship, right? You got to, like, find the thing.
You accidentally unlock one of these that was sealed up.
Right.
And it's now loose in the city. Okay. What about... we've got 2 more things to do then, which is stats and the sort of... some rules for templates as it takes over things.
Right.
So I'm looking at the troll stats. It's large.
It's large.
I'm fine with that. I'm also fine with its stat line physically. I would say mentally, this thing is like smarter than an animal, but could be tricked, right?
Yes.
So it's like, we don't want up 7 or intelligence and charisma. We're probably looking at more like 5.
Yeah, just barely above animal intelligence. No, I agree.
Right. A very smart Game of Thrones dragon.
Right.
Skills, I would definitely give it 2 skills, perception and stealth.
Yep.
And speed. The thing about the xenomorphs is they're very fast.
Very fast. Yep.
So we might up the troll speed, which is 30 to 40, and of course give it a climb speed as well.
Yep. Of 30? Is that too much?
No, I think that's fine.
That's fine. Yeah.
Dark vision, 60 for sure. So its perception and stealth are going to be higher, so its passive perception will be higher. Languages, I would say none.
Yeah, cannot speak.
Can't be reasoned with, can't speak. I love keen smell.
Yeah.
I think that's fine to leave. It's a predator type thing. Now, what about regeneration? Regeneration is it's always tough to beat a monster with regeneration. This thing is quite deadly.
Yeah,
I could keep regeneration.
I wasn't intending to keep it, but I'm starting to think that this is a great thing actually to keep. I love the idea of this, taking some wounds and then, fleeing into, a side passage or hiding somewhere else and then coming back unharmed. Again, that's very, very xenomorph. So I say we keep regeneration.
Now, do we want to change the, here's a fun trick. Do we want to change the thing that stops the regeneration from functioning? For trolls, it's acid or fire.
Yes.
For our soul-stealing biomorph, what should it be?
Oh, interesting.
So fire and acid are fairly easy to come by, which makes it fine. If it's something that's stealing souls, we could say that it doesn't regenerate unless, or it will keep coming back and regenerating unless you heal it. No, radiant damage.
What if it's just as simple as hitting it with a dispel magic? It doesn't kill it or anything, but it stops its regeneration from happening.
Okay, well, so dispel magic's very general. How about this? Oh, what I was just saying with the last thing, it's always fun to give your monsters great or unusual weaknesses. Revivify, resurrection, raise dead, true things, anything that would call a soul back when cast on this thing, automatically either destroy it or do a massive amount of damage. And along with that, a spare the dying cantrip stops its regeneration as well as any healing magic or something like that, right? Because it's all about the cycle of souls instead of body horror. So anything that might bring you back hurts it and definitely stops its regeneration.
Excellent. That's super interesting and unusual. The kind of thing that you might find in like a secret tome. To help you defeat this, again, horrifying enemy.
And now we've made the plot of Act 1, Encounter 1, players can't beat this thing, and they run away like a horror movie. Act 2, they figure out, if we get some diamond dust and cast Raise the Dead, it automatically destroys it.
Right.
This could also explain why these things haven't taken over the world yet.
Right.
It's because they have one key weakness that is not easily accessible.
Yeah.
Because they are all about preventing souls from being raised and turning them into more biomorphs. All right, and then the second, so I think multi-attack, I would basically leave that as it is. I might move it down to 2. I don't know. This thing has some other powers. It's much faster than a troll. Trolls get 3 attacks. I'm actually fine with it.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
We might give it a tail attack. I don't know how much
you're
envisioning this looking exactly.
I want to
like...
give it a tail attack.
Okay.
I absolutely want it to have a tail. It's again.
Okay.
It's a hideous human insect monster. Abomination, aberration. It's got a weird spiky tail.
I would basically keep it at 3 attacks, and it gets to choose among bite, claw, and tail. No more than 1 bite or tail. Up to 2 claws of those 3 attacks. The tail, I would basically make it exactly the same as the troll's other attacks, except has a chance to knock people back.
Excellent.
If they fail a strength check. It does very little damage.
Yeah.
So that's always fun. Okay. I think we have the stats. What about some templates? What about this, Rob? To keep our templating down is we pick a couple different types of creatures, maybe broad creature types.
Yeah, why don't we just do this for creature types, yeah? And we don't have to do them all, but why don't we have a... we already said a dragon. It's already an aberration, right? Let's have a dragon template. Let's have a dragon template. Dragon template.
Okay, here, I can do this one real fast.
Template. Let's just do a simple animal template. And then let's do one more, but this should give the... Let's have a fey template.
A fey template. I have an idea for that.
All right, perfect. Let's do it. I love it.
Okay, dragon template. I think this is pretty easy. You give it a fly speed and wings, and a breath attack as probably a young adult green dragon, I would say, is where I would steal from.
Okay.
Yeah, I would basically give it poison breath or whatever type of dragon breath from the young dragon type.
Okay.
All right, you give us.
All right,
one.
let's do the I said demon, but what I meant was, I guess, outsider?
Fiend?
Fiend template? What is
Fiend is what it's called in 5th edition.
It's called a fiend template, so we'll give it fiend resistances.
Mm-hmm.
We will give it... What's the coolest fiend? What's an iconic fiend? I'm thinking... I got it. We'll give it a spell. We'll give it spells. We will give it some limited spell casting if it infects a fiend.
Okay.
Let's give it...
Other option could be it's covered in spikes and does the spiky things. But yeah, I like spell casting.
We'll give it some... Well, it'd have to be smart to do that, wouldn't it? That would kind of go against...
Yeah, that would make more sense if it was smart.
Yeah, let's give it spikes that damage things that attack it in melee.
Could steal that from a barb devil or a horn devil or whichever one has spikes. For a fey, one that is infected and stolen the soul of a fey, I would say it can basically, and this is super scary and that's on purpose, is it can turn invisible at will. And it has magic resistance, advantage on saves against spells.
Magic resistance, perfect. Scary, horrifying.
And now it's always invisible.
That would be a great encounter to, run into in the Feywild, right? Somebody has released a biomorph into the Feywild and it threatens to overrun, the whole plane or something like that. That would be sufficiently horrifying. For an animal template, I'm thinking we just make it faster and give it a burrow speed.
Burrow speed is, I would say, give it burrow or appropriate other speed, right? Obviously, if it infects a intelligent, awakened great. So are you saying animals have souls then?
Oh, right. That would, of course animals have souls.
Okay, all right. Debate settled. I've always wondered myself.
Do all dogs go to heaven or not, Matt?
Clearly they don't. Charlie B. Barking goes to hell in the very first part of the movie.
But then he goes to heaven.
No.
At the end, it is proven correct because he does end up in heaven.
But not all dogs do. Charlie B. Barkin didn't. There are many other dogs being tortured in dog hell.
Do we see that as their proof?
Yes. Yes. There are many dogs being tortured
clearly,
in hell along with Charlie B. Barkin.
Clearly I have blocked off the horrifying
bad parts of that movie.
Movie. All dogs go to heaven. Anyway, but yeah, let's just assume animals have souls or some sort of soul-like thing that this creature can infect, and say that if it does so and it reanimates as a biomorph, then either gets increased speed or a fly speed or a burrow speed or something appropriate to the animal that was infected.
Cool.
We will add some specifics and some bounds to this, but I like the basic of this biomorph.
Yeah, I think the thing that we need to make sure that we haven't broken anything with is, the sort of infection and stealing the soul of people, right? So we might have to give it, one thing we could do is we could give it a special attack, like the little plunger that comes out of the xenomorph's mouth that implants the curse on people, or it might have like weird glowing eyes, or it might speak a cursed word. I'm
so thinking it's something like on its claws and tail, if it wounds you, right? If you take damage from the biomorph, that
right. Yeah, we just need to add a cool description, like the wounds inflicted by its tail and bite, instead of looking like normal bite or wound marks, instead of drawing blood, though they do damage, you look at them and they leave a magical script that can be translated with detect magic, or if you can read some ancient language. Yeah, I like the idea of like you get bitten by it and you look down and it's basically like someone's tattooed you are cursed on you.
Right, it leaves like a burning brand or something, then fades. I've written down essence/curse claw. I will
do we want to keep calling it the biomorph?
Yeah, it's not really like a biomorph anymore anyway, is it? I mean, it sort of is, but we can... I mean, do you have something else in mind?
The soul man.
Let's call it the...
there was such a good Mystery Science Theater, the soul taker, like Emilio Estevez.
I'm gonna call
it's
it
a soul reproducer.
I'm gonna call it the soul twister as a placeholder. That's not what it's going to be at the end, but yeah, we'll work on that.
The soul morpher.
Yeah, I'm gonna call essence morph for right now, and we will change.
What's soul? You could always, if you can't ever come up with a cool name with something, you always steal it from another language. What's soul in Latin? Like
it's like
anima or something.
Well, then it would be animorph, Matt.
Animorph, perfect. We've done it. All right, done. The animorph.
I'm literally gonna call it an animamorph, and then we'll work on it later. All right. This really went all over the place. I really like what we came up with, and I do want to work on trying to figure out how to do templates in 5th edition. But this is a really fun one, and I like the idea.
Project for a bigger time.
But yeah, let's do one more, Matt.
Okay, we're back. As listeners know, next week we're going to be talking about the ghosts of Salt Marsh.
We are.
So I'm thinking about the ocean and sea monsters and stuff. And I have this
I'm always
map.
Thinking about the ocean, Matt, because my one true love is the sea. Sorry, go on.
That's why you've always lived on the coast.
That's right. Always lived on the coast. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
No, I found this map and I looked up there's all these weird sea monster drawings on maps, and I looked up one of them by Abraham Ortelius, And apparently this sea monster drawn as a map, I'm going to try and describe it to you here, Rob. It looks like a weird beaked crocodile with a sort of a catfish or a salamander's fringe around its head, and then two hippo-like blowholes on the top of it. And the map maker calls it a stapiridur, the tamest of whales that fights other whales on behalf of fishermen. It doesn't look very tame.
I love it. It's great.
Yeah, and I'm like, you know what? I was looking through the aquatic monsters, and there's not a lot of super friendly ones. So I was like, I kind of want a friendly aquatic monster.
Oh, it's like a flump. It's like a sea flump.
Yeah, it defends vessels against, maybe dragon turtles or something.
Okay.
Thinking like it's a giant, it looks really scary, but it maybe has the temperament of an orca or a dolphin.
Okay. I think that's super cool, and I like this idea. Okay, so what are we going to use for our baseline for this? How powerful are we thinking that this Stumpen, what is it again?
Let's call it like the fisherman whale or
I like
something.
that.
The fisherman's
fisherman's
whale or
whale.
something. I can't speak German or whatever, Dutch or whatever.
No, I think that's great. Let's call it the fisherman's whale. It's a friendly friend to fishermen. Sometimes
Gamera is friend to fishermen.
Sometimes can be found trailing vessels, helping out people, defending them against krakens and things. Dragon turtles and whatnot. So this might be a high-ish level thing, right?
Absolutely. I'm thinking like, okay, one of these cannot take on a kraken, obviously, but one of these could die trying to defend a ship from a kraken.
Okay,
and do a okay job. Perhaps if it had some help from some adventurers.
Well, then
it might be
why don't
successful.
we just go ahead and use dragon turtle as a baseline, right?
Okay,
that's
I
a
think,
CR. That's a CR 17. Again, couldn't take on a kraken, but could definitely put up a fight while some adventurers helped out.
Right. I think this. So this would be a neutral good. If it's not a beast, right? Or it might be a beast. I don't know. That's the question, though. Right? Beasts are.
It might be more fun if it's not a beast.
Let's make it intelligent.
Yeah. Let's call it. Maybe just like a magical beast. Is that still a thing?
No, it's not. It would be maybe a monstrosity.
Yeah, let's call it a monstrosity. I love that.
Yeah. Okay. It's a monstrosity that the common folk call it a fisherman's whale or something like that, even though it's technically not a whale. And then now I'm thinking about the background of this thing, and I'm thinking maybe this is something created or developed by sea elves or tritons or merfolk or one of the gazillion aquatic races.
Yeah, absolutely.
As something that like a sheepdog, basically.
Yeah.
For their pods of whales that they keep. I don't know why they would keep pods of whales, but let's say they
pretend
do.
like
For
they
whale
do, right?
cat,
Let's pretend like
obviously.
that. Let's say that it's a friend of friend of children.
It's basically a sheepdog whale.
Right.
Yes.
I love the idea of a fisherman's whale. Let's say it's something that's friends to merfolk. That they raise them, or that they guard their their cities or their pods of whales that they milk. I don't know.
Whales have milk. It's nothing to be ashamed of.
It's true. I'm thinking about we talked about this recently about underwater societies, about big cities of merfolk with sheep flocks of whales that they milk, and whale milk whale cheese. Anyway, so
whale cheese. It's tough to make whale cheese. I mean, it's really tough with the liquids and the liquids. Maybe you need some air pockets down there.
Anyways,
all
so
right.
so it's a friend of merfolk. So it talks, it can speak Aquan, or can understand Aquan
and maybe Elvish if it's merfolk, not elves.
Yeah, what the fuck
say
do
that.
merfolks talk?
I think it's Aquan.
I think it's Aquan. We'll just leave it at Aquan now and maybe another one. But yeah.
So I would basically take these dragon turtle stats, and I'm gonna bump its D20 hit dice. And actually, the dragon turtle might be a little too big. Dragon turtles are gargantuan. I think this is maybe only colossal.
I think so.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's it's
gargantuan
probably
is
a D12.
Quite big.
Yeah, let's bump its hit dice down to a D12. Let's move its strength down to like a 20 and its intelligence down to a 3 or a 4. And then I think it basically has to unlike a regular whale, it doesn't have hold breath. Let's say those weird frilly catfish things along its neck are actually gills, so it can breathe underwater. Remember, it's not actually a whale. And then I would say I'm going to give it a special ability that's kind of cool. That's Swallow Whole. But it can hold people in its gullet, a la Jonah and the whale, without damaging them. So if you ever need just fucking Deus Ex Machina to get your players out of a underwater trap they put themselves in, here's a creature that can
fisherman's
swallow
whale
them up and
help them out.
take them back to the surface, right?
I love it.
And then offensive attacks, I think it's just going to have one bite.
And a tail, of course.
And a tail.
Slap people with its tail.
So I'm basically taking the stats here from the killer whale and the dragon turtle, mix them together, adding one new ability, a sort of genteel swallow whole, and then there's our sheepdog whale.
Okay.
Merfolk sheepdog.
What if we give it one more thing, something...
Oh yeah, let's give it one more thing.
Something like defensive. I'm thinking like a sonic bellow or something, right? So,
ooh, yeah, that come out of those two weird blowholes in its head.
When threatened or to get attention or whatever, it can just sort of do like a big wah, like whale sound to
I love that.
Damage.
It can use it
or disorient or communicate
over long distances, or once with a recharge on a 5/6, it can let out a cone of sonic damage that's and we'll use the dragon turtle's steam breath as a template. Let's say.
Yeah, we'll use that as a baseline.
Make it sonic breath instead. Yeah. Instead of steam breath, 60-foot cone of sonic energy. Creatures that are submersed in water have disadvantage on this save. Because as we all know, you should not jump into a lake to hide from a concussive blast or explosion or bomb. You see it done in the movies, don't do it. Your insides will be liquefied.
It sure will. However,
just like the liquid outside.
You can jump into water and be safe from bullets, as all of us who saw John Wick 3 know.
Yes. Bullets, yes. Grenades, no.
Correct. Okay. I love this friendly, weird whale creature monstrosity. I think this is a great Deus Ex Machina, or just like something to throw in as a curiosity, or as part of
let your players befriend two of them and have them pull their ship out of some doldrums. Go crazy with it.
Yeah.
Befriend one of these, and basically instead of getting a ship, use this to travel around inside its mouth.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Very cool. This is a good mix of creatures. Some interesting things here. I love that they all can fit into different types of campaigns and have different hooks. Lots of fun things to do here, for sure.
We are two mariners, a ship's sole survivors, in this belly of a whale. Its ribs are ceiling beams, its guts are carpeting. I guess we have some time to kill. You may not remember
Hey,
me.
we're back. Let's answer some letters. We've got a bunch of them stacked up for us to read.
Okay, so let's start with one from Michael. Michael writes, love the show, etc., 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 right? Etc., etc., Michael. After listening to your show about the problematic nature of fantasy race, I started formulating an alternate character creation idea that I hope solves some of the issues. Presenting Ancestry, Upbringing, Background. The concept is to remove most of the character traits associated with race and move them into your character's upbringing and background. Some traits stay with the ancestry, particularly iconic ones, or the ones from more animalistic races like Dragonborn, Lizardfolk, Tabaxi, etc. A human can't pick up cat's claws. But everyone gets to choose their ASIs and some traits based on your choice of ancestry, upbringing, and background.
That's ability score improvements
right.
for those unfamiliar with ASI.
And then Michael has attached a document for us to look at. And I gotta say, Michael, I like this a lot. This is actually kind of the idea that I have not written out yet, but based on both Pathfinder 2.0's...
Yeah, Michael, basically I had this idea too. I didn't do it yet, but, I had the same idea.
What Matt is saying is correct. I'm taking credit for your idea. But I love the idea behind it, because I think that a lot of what ends up being in racial traits historically is just cultural traits. And so you don't need all of the things, elves... Not every elf needs weapon training. That can be, something different. Like, I was thinking that when Matt and I talked early on about 5th edition, I was frustrated because I felt like backgrounds could have been more and races could have been less. And this is exactly the kind of idea that gets to that. This is comes with my stamp of approval. I think it's great. Matt, what are your thoughts on this?
My thought is that this is perfect, especially for a group of players. And if you want, Michael, we're going to put a link to this in the what you sent to us in the show, because it's just great. Especially if you have experienced players who are really into getting away from the baggage of fantasy stuff and are okay with spending a little more time with character creation. My experience, Rob, is players who have played the game before are always more than willing to spend more time on character creation.
This is a great option for experienced players. Yeah.
However, for new players, they don't like anything that adds any more fiddly bits, right? The advantage of the current system, right, is you pick 3 things, and there are only 3 decisions you make, right? Species, background, class, and this gives you tons more options, which I approve of.
Yep.
A easy, short workaround could be something like, just give remove the ability score improvements from species and give players, 3 points to add, distributed between 3 and 2 scores, right? That works too. If you don't want to do some stuff and go through the work of distinguishing what is cultural and what is inherent. But if you have players who enjoy spending more time with character creation, and I think most characters do, or most experienced players do, this is a great way to do it. I think I might steal it for my next game.
Yeah, I love this. Great idea. Also, now I have to come up with something different and better because I didn't actually do any work on the thing I was going to do. So
yeah. Why can't a human that grew up running around in the forest or on the open plains get an extra 5 feet of
Exactly.
speed?
Exactly. Why can't they have elven weapon training? It's madness. So yeah, thank you, Michael, for writing in. This is super great stuff. I do hope,
Michael, this is wonderful.
I do hope that further games, again, it's great it could be simpler for new players, and I do hope that like future editions of D&D or future updates take this direction, but make it easy and simple. But yeah, this is I think where the game needs to go. Fantasy race is a problem, and I'd like to see it done away with entirely. I don't think that's going to happen. There are ways, however, to make it a little less weird and, scientific racism. So just try. This is a great attempt. I love it, Michael.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. Michael also says, thanks for the great show. He signs off that he is in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm going to be in Kansas City, Missouri next week. You will never find me. I'll be working the whole week, but... Sad that we will be close yet so far, Michael. All right, thanks again. here is our next letter from Dalton, Rob. Dalton writes, "Hey guys, I love the show. I usually listen to 2 or 3 episodes at a time, and I wish I had found it before I had started DMing. I want to sell you on something, or at least have you tell me why it's a bad idea.
I love it.
Flowed this ideas." All right, now we're up for a challenge. I float this idea to others online, but due to my lack of experience, they're often dismissed by folks that cut their teeth on 3.5 or 4th edition D&D. Anyway, the thing I wanted to sell you on is dividing up the Mystic class and turning it into subclasses for already existing classes. If this isn't interesting enough for the podcast, that's cool. No, it totally is. But I'm still interested in your opinions. Dalton goes on to give us some examples of psionics and why this is a big roadblock, and a lot of very wise observations and details about it. But Dalton's solution is to take the existing psionic races, the Githyanki, the Githziri, and the Illithids, and to make them into new classes for the Mystic.
No, and I think this is a great idea. I spent a lot of time thinking about the Mystic, and it's hard.
So subclasses instead of the Mystic.
Yeah, so I think this is actually kind of a great solution, because there's just so many little like fiddly bits in the Mystic. But if you took that and just sort of grafted the good parts onto existing classes, not only would that fit within 5th edition's sort of model of doing things, but I think it might work better than trying to make the Mystic work. The other option is, of course, creating 3 new classes, going back to the old well of Soul Knife, Psychic Warrior, and Scion.
Don't do that.
But we know Wizards isn't going to do that. And I think this is a great solution.
Now, here's my solution, Rob, which if you go to our homebrew page, I have already posted a list of very simple psionic rules that have 1 alternate class based on the wizard, and then 3 subclasses, 1 for the fighter, 1 for the rogue, and 1 for the monk, that are all psionic in nature and are slightly different. And for me, I think that works pretty well. The only problem is the wizard psionicist or mystic isn't that much different from the wizard, right? But at the same time, you're not going to change up your game too much or break things. So I think Dalton's idea fits very well with what I would do personally, which is to just make an alternate wizard class and then 3 new subclasses.
Yeah, I like this a lot better than... I don't even know what Wizards is going to do at this point. They've been sitting on the Mystic forever. But I like this. I think this is a good solution. And I also want to encourage everybody, if you're listening, don't wait around for Wizards to do anything with psionics. Feel comfortable hacking your own, because it's never going to come out. And
yeah, we just got the announcement. We know what's coming out for the rest of the year. We have a Planescape adventure and a hardcover Eberron book. There will not be any psionics rules in either of those, is my prediction.
Almost certainly not. So yeah, this is a great solution, Dalton. I think this is a really elegant way to approach a difficult problem. You mentioned you were wondering about the Illithid and making it a sorcerer subclass, which I actually think is a great idea, because sorcerer is really hurting for decent subclasses. A lot of their subclasses are super weak, and it would be cool to give them something more interesting to work with. I think it would be a very elegant solution. I think that would fit nicely.
Actually, yeah, here's what I'm going to say is here's what I would put in a final document that was a draft. 1 new mystic class that basically functions like a wizard, but slightly different. They have different options. 2, 4 new subclasses. A subclass for the sorcerer that is basically a wilder or a raw psychic talent. A subclass for the monk, the rogue, and the fighter.
Yep.
You're done?
Yep.
You got psionics in your game. You don't make it too different from spell casting, and then you don't have to worry about power creep and all that other stuff.
And the cool thing is then you still can have the Soul Knife. You can still have the Psychic Warrior. You can still have the... What am I thinking of? Scion, whatever. But you don't have to actually you don't have to add 3 or 4 new classes, which is, again, more than Wizards wants to do, which I get, but you can still, like, pull from those great traditions and have those, cool, unique flavors. Yeah. Hopefully that's something like Wizards ends up doing at some point.
I mean, or they could continue on with the Mystic, which as it stands is a class that can do everything and can be anything, which is cool, because that's the class that I always
That's right. Yeah, the class that's cool and good at everything. Yeah. Okay,
love it.
Thank you, Dalton, for writing in. We love this stuff. Please give us this stuff. Write into us. All right, Matt, we're at the end. Let's do D4 and after.
Yeah, here, give me a die roll, Rob. I don't know. My die are in my bag because I was traveling and playing a little D&D this weekend at the same time.
Okay, I got my die. Gonna roll it. It's 2.
Give me your 2 favorite fantasy from a Dungeons & Dragons setting or novel political entities, states, nations, countries, kingdoms, empires, duchies, marquises, counties. Stop me.
Okay, I got you.
I'm running out of things.
I got you. I gotta admit, I don't actually know that much about them.
Yeah, number 2.
My number 2 is actually one of the cooler things from Forgotten Realms. I really like the Red Wizards of Thay. I think that they are interesting. They have floating towers. They, are good villains. I also just love, like, wizard polities. I think it's a cool idea to have, wizards in charge of things, or wizards have power. That's one that goes back to my youth. I always liked the Red Wizards of Thay. That's an easy one.
Yeah, they are super good and super evil, and there you go.
All right, Matt, what's yours?
I love their cool, sort of unique take on spell casting and stuff like that. Cooperative spell casting used evil. My favorite from Spelljammer, and my number 2, is definitely going to be the Elven Imperial Fleet. It's kind of like, whatever elves might be like in your own world out in space, the elves are like kind of an evil, dickish empire that are also, they're basically good, but they're kind of dicks about it, and they have all the best ships and stuff like that. And I love that all space elves are organized into this very military hierarchy, despite elves on the ground being different. So I love the Elven Imperial Fleet. Big leaf ships and shit.
Mm-hmm. My first favorite, and this is, it's hard to not pick everything from Eberron, but my first favorite is from Eberron, and it's, of course, the Aurum. I fucking love the Aurum. It's a consortium of, like, secret, rich dwarves, mostly dwarves, that just want to, control, commerce and the economy. It's like Spectre from Bond, but in Eberron, and I love them. They're great villains. They're great behind the scenes manipulators. They're not, trying to conquer the world or bring about like a demon apocalypse or anything, but I love them. They fit so well into so many different plots.
Yeah, the Aurum are super good. Any sort of Illuminati organization works for your campaign. My top one is from the let's see. Let me see if I can remember the name of the my top one is from Randall Garrett's Lord Darcy Mysteries, Too Many Magicians. And it's the Angevin Empire, right? As in the Plantagenet dynasty, Angevin in French. In a alternate reality, the English rediscover magic and win the 100 Years' War and have a sort of a global empire fueled on wizardry and a little bit of steampunk nonsense. But I love it as a faction because it's just like a sort of perfect encapsulation of how magic could be a ossifying force in your world building and could keep, for example, royal power intact despite not taking it over itself. And you know, there's if you ever want to like get into these novels, there's a, you know, sort of, they're not especially good or anything, but there's a great sort of way of like wizards working as private detectives and cops for the states and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, wizards would be cops, wouldn't they?
Wizards would be cops. All AWAB. All wizards are bastards.
All wizard cops are bastards. What about wizard Antifa?
That's sorry. I was about to make an argument about how wizards can't be Antifa, but now I'm thinking about Antifa wizards and I can't stop laughing. Rogues are Antifa. All wizards are cops. Anyway, no.
Yes.
Bard.
You're gonna start seeing golems on parade now.
Bards are libs.
Bards are libs, as evidenced by Stephen Colbert choosing.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. If you have suggestions for us, write in. If you have questions or anything, write us at dmofnone@gmail.com. Add us on Twitter.
Hey, don't forget to check out our adventure.
I already plugged it.
Celestial Job.
At DM of None.
That's, I just reminding again.
Celestial Job.
Buy it.
And we love you all. Keep rolling them dice.